What kind of game was that? And why wasn't that a penalty shot? Hey, welcome back to HockeyCast. So I want to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Florida Panthers Game 4 in a 3-1 loss, which makes it 2 wins and 2 losses so far on the season. And I'm sure you're going to get your fair share of Leaf fans coming completely unhinged. So I want to go over a couple of highlights of this game. I'm not going to make this video very long, but there are a few points that I just want to talk about for a few minutes. How come is it every team that plays the Leafs, they seem to have something to play for? And Leafs go out and for the first 2/3 of the game, they're kind of just pedestrian, just along for the ride sort of things. And they're not really playing the man at all. They're not playing hard. They're not playing physical. They're just kind of waving their stick, looking and waiting for the other player to give up the puck. So, and things have been going terrible. These last 2 losses, the Leafs have only scored 2 goals. There's absolutely no offense. We're not getting anything from our depth players. Like I was saying, the Leafs are playing far too soft in their own end. They're just cutting the man off, and they're kind of just waving their stick, waiting for the player to make a play. When you see the Leafs in the offensive zone, they're getting checked, and they're getting checked hard into the boards. They're getting cut off. They're getting the puck stripped from them. But in the Leafs zone, they're just skating around, waiting for Florida to make a play. And pretty soon, especially early in the game, we saw it ended up in the back of the net twice in the first period. That is a horrible way to start a 5-game road trip. And in the second period, right at the end of the second period, why wasn't that a penalty shot? He had a clear break to the net, and Florida came in and totally took him out. But that was just ruled a power play for the start of the third. Which is, if you're going to take a power play, I'd rather have it at the end of the period as opposed to at the beginning of a new period, just because you've had time to rest and you're not, it's tough. It's, what I've seen from the Leafs team anyway, now and in previous years, it's terrible starting on the power play at the beginning of a period as opposed to the end. Other teams, they seem to come up with a plan in between periods, and they come out and they execute, and they end up scoring almost all the time right away, it seems. And I hope Sammy's okay. He took a hit to the head from McCabe, and he was kind of it looks like he was really having a hard time shaking it off. He was really animated about it anyway. So I hope he's okay. But do you think we'll see Jones soon? It's hard to say, right? Who's going to play next game? If Sammy's a little bit shook up, is he just going to back up Wall? Or, are we going to see Jones come up? Now, that they're going to have to be a little cautious about, because Jones was on waivers. He passed through waivers. And so he can only come up for 30 days? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But I believe he can only come up for 30 days before he has to go through waivers again, unless he stays up. And either Wall or Sammy, maybe Sammy's going to be on LTIR. I don't know. That's, we don't know anything about that. Maybe he's okay now. But, Jones, do you think we'll see him by the end of the year? Through either injury or maybe bad play. But if it's bad play, they're either going to hold 3 goalies on the bench, which isn't a good idea. On the roster, which isn't a great idea, because the Leafs can't seem to play with a full roster now. And throughout this game, if you've watched the game, maybe you'll notice the Leafs really had no natural flow. There was no flow to the game. And it looked like the players that they have together in the lineup that they put them in, they're still learning. But that is more of an excuse than anything as to their bad play, because you don't need to be still learning to play the body. How did they get to the NHL in the first place? They played hard. They played hard minutes. They played tough hockey. Now is no time to be laying off that. I'm optimistic because, I've been cheering for the Leafs for a hell of a long time. So I am optimistic. I have to have patience. Let's see what the next few games hold. Let's, analyze it after 10 games and see where we're sitting. As an example of the players, not yet gelled together, you saw it several times tonight in the offensive zone. The Leafs were down deep, and then the puck squirted out and kind of split the defensemen. And they looked at each other. They didn't know who was going to take it. It was coming right up the center of the ice. And a couple of times it squirted out, and, one time they got it, but it wasn't good. It was just miscue after miscue. There's, the passes aren't crisp. It's like they're just falling off the end of the stick. It's not a good start right now. 2 wins, perfect, but they were a tough 2 wins. They made a lot of mistakes, especially playing the first game against Montreal. There's a lot of mistakes there, and now their mistakes are coming back to get them. And like I said before, Keefe continues to ride the top players, but they need to get more out of their depth players. And for instance, tonight, he played 11 minutes, and he needs a lot more ice time than that in order to be a factor in the game. In order to get a rhythm, he needs to have a lot more minutes than just 11 or so minutes. So they're going to have to figure that out. Then I saw when they pulled the goalie towards the end of the game, you had Matthews, one of the best shooters in the game, arguably. Why is he behind the net? And they post Riley out front. He's a defender, but he's coming down. But why aren't they having Matthews up in the high slot there? And then he can come down to the, into the net and be creative, come along the boards. I don't know, but they're trying stuff. And it's just seemed odd to see Austin Matthews posting in behind the net and Riley up front taking the pass and having a shot on net. I'd rather have Matthews out there. Are they trying something new because they know he's going to be covered anyways? I don't know, but when Matthews is on his game, he gets lost out there. He can get lost out there in weaving in and out and come in and, find an opening and score. But it just wasn't happening tonight. They did pour it on when they pulled the goalie at the end of the game to try and score it up or try and tie it up. I thought John Tavares, I thought he had it, but no such luck. But why don't they start playing a little heavier and a little harder the entire game, and they won't need to do that right at the end? It almost seems like, when Toronto's ahead and their opponent is behind and down a goal late in the game and they pull the goalie, it always seems like the teams that are playing against Toronto always seem to tie it up, and Toronto just can't seem to do it that late in the game. There was, I don't know, more times than not anyway, right? So let's quickly look at the shots on goal here. The shots on goal, Florida had 24, the Leafs had 30, but a lot of that, a bit of that was at the end of the game when they had pulled their goalie. The face-off percentages, Florida won that 57% to 42%. Power plays, surprisingly, the power plays, the Leafs had more power plays. I was surprised when I saw that because it really didn't seem like they took it. Well, obviously they didn't take advantage of those power plays except for one. They were 1 for 5. Florida was 0 for 4 on the power plays. But, if I hadn't looked at that prior, I would have thought that Florida had more power plays, but nope. Toronto had more. Hits. Toronto had 23 hits to Florida's 15. And I chalked that up a lot to Florida having the puck a lot more. And the Leafs trying to battle to get it back. But it didn't look like they had even that many hits, to be honest. And blocked shots, Florida had 26 and Toronto had 17. Well, they're going to have to figure it out. It's still early in the season. It's only game 4. So they're going to have to figure it out before Saturday. When they play Tampa, I would have thought they would have got up for tonight's game, considering Florida was the team that put them out of the playoffs in such a manner that they did, and especially what Gudas did to Wall at the end of the game there. I know Gudas is no longer with Florida. He's with Anaheim, but still, you would have thought the Leafs would have been up for this game more and been a lot more physical. And I don't know how to get this team to play more physical. It really is just, it's concerning to see that they're not playing like they need to be playing. If you're not on, if you're not feeling it, at least go out there and hit somebody, play physical, skate. They need to skate. They need to drive the play. I don't know why we get this year after year after year, but I was told to have more patience. So that's what I'm trying to do. Let's see where we're at after 10 games. All right. So that's it for today. Hit the like, hit subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and we will see you Saturday against Tampa.